Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Just checking with and without glasses. Hi, Judy. Nice to see you. I don't recognize you. Have you been in my live streams before? Oh, great. Thanks for saying hi. Are you new to me or new to Insight Timer? And welcome everybody who may be watching this as a replay. What does that mean? Muso, I don't know. But new to me, that's great. So, musician. Nice. So are you here because it's random or because you saw the topic of Michael Singer and wanted to join? I'm always curious about that for people that are new. Woo! Amazing. Me too. I just created a playlist on my YouTube channel of some of my favorite Michael Singer talks, not all. And so the purpose of what we're doing here today and in this series that I'm restarting-ish is that we are going to listen to his talks here and then discuss them with a possible purpose to maybe bring this into another avenue at some point where it can be more interactive, like on video screens together. So Judy, glad you're here for however long you are here. And I do have all of my replays if you do want to catch what you might miss. That is available or will be available on my YouTube channel. Follow me there. Don't forget to follow me here on Insight Timer. If you care to give a donation, it's always welcomed. And follow me on Facebook and Instagram. And you can join my group here, Natalie's Healing Circle. As well as don't forget to listen to, if you haven't before or already, I have many meditations here on the app and a couple premium tracks, of which I'm about to have a third premium track approved. They just had me do a title change just now. So, and this one is going to be called Taking Your Power Back from Them, Shamanic Healing. So it'll be very powerful. So welcome Blossom Violet. Hi Britt, Rochelle, Tony, Mishi, Nancy. So Judy was saying that they're a Michael Singer fan. A muso. I've never heard the word muso before. So is that maybe an Australian or a European thing? Hi Nadine, welcome. And I did also post this as an event on my Facebook page. So if you happen to be joining from there, let me know. I'm always curious. So another Michael Singer fan, Blossom Violet. So, yeah, hi Jessica. So what we're going to continue today, and this will just be ongoing, is that we will listen to Michael Singer. And if you want the link to the talk that I will play, send me a private message. I will send that to you. So we'll listen and then we'll pause and discuss and just flow like that. So we're also doing that style in my live stream series, Conversations with God, where we're studying that book. And I am reading and then pausing, and we're discussing. So we've been in that book study 6 months or so now, and we're about halfway through, and there's no rush. So if you like the book Conversations with God, if you don't know what it is, this is your invitation to join. And also we have Saturday Night Live this weekend. I'm just like, wow, orienting myself. Oh, okay. So in less than 12 hours, I will be live again doing focused Reiki, meaning we have a shorter session and we just have somewhat of a longer period of Reiki. So come, that's at like 8 p.m. Eastern. Let me check. Yeah. So in less than 12 hours, come back for Reiki. So hi, Rose. So yeah, I think that's all for now. I do have this drink. I have my Indonesian coffee cup that's some sort of something about Indonesia or Bali. I'm in Bali, by the way. So, is there anybody here who doesn't know Michael Singer before we begin? Hello, Nancy, too. Hello, Sheila. Welcome. How are you doing? Okay. Going once, going twice. All right. So I'm just going to play until I want to stop. Please, if you have a question, if you have a comment, contribute to the space with that. If you feel an impulse, follow that. If you don't, follow that. It's been 2 weeks now since I lost my voice, so I'm noticing how much better I am, and that, there's still that slight residual. So thank you for witnessing me. So here we go. This is from a talk, Give Up on the Old Way. And I've had 2 prior live streams where we've listened and discussed parts of this one. So,
problems of this not okayness pushing you up into the mind and then out into the world, it pushes you back into the self. Why would you want to go down there? Why would you want to involve yourself in something that there is no solution to the way you've been doing it? When in truth you can realize that there is a complete solution of the problem. Liberation. Free yourself from your attachment to the part of your being that has this problem. There is a part of your being that is not okay. You're not that part. You watch that part. You are aware of that part. You room with it, if you will. It's your roommate. It's sort of like this. Let's say you had a roommate and they were really a mess. I mean, like way out there. And you've done everything you can to try and help. Okay? And everything you do, no matter what you do or what you come up with, they tear it down. Well, you got a choice. You're not bound to the room. You're not bound to the roommate. There's another way out, and that is out. And that's what liberation is. You free yourself from yourself. You free yourself from yourself. Instead of sitting there saying that this thing that is insatiable and can't solve its problems in the outside world, that you are going to sit there and bind yourself to that until it's okay. The true yoga, the true depth is when you're willing to say it will never be okay, and that's okay. that's okay with me that it will never be okay, that's when it will be okay.
I have to stop there because I don't know if I didn't introduce myself. If you don't know me, I'm a spiritual life coach and Reiki Master Teacher. And that's one of the tools I give to clients, and I've given it to y'all in here before. You know, if you feel like everything's gone to shit and you're like lost in your emotions, dysregulated, the one thing you can land on is, I'm not okay. Can that be okay? Can I be okay that I'm not okay in this moment? It's okay that I'm not okay. So he's giving that pointer as well. And what he was talking about is giving up on the old way, meaning looking outside of ourselves for something to change, to either get something we want or to get rid of something we don't want. Never works, will never work, is not a solution. And that the solution is in here, that there is a part that is not okay, and that once it's clinging, it's grasping, it's resisting. But that part is not the entirety of us because we can witness that part. So he was just saying, it's like having this roommate that's always complaining, is always a mess. So does everybody follow that so far? Hi, Marielle and Heather. So it's about really deeply feeling into, reflecting on your life, and seeing that the system in which you've been showing up, the whole system is flawed and does not work and will never work. The system of going outside of yourself so that you can feel okay inside is not a solution. If it worked, it would have worked by now. And it does work like momentarily. Oh, when you get the new job or you leave the job or whatever. But have you ever noticed that immediately, whatever that thing is, when you get what you want, then something else takes its place immediately. You might feel okay for a short period, and then the next problem comes in, the next thing that's not right about the world, or is missing, or needs to go. Does anybody not identify with that? Ooh, here for strength, Heather. Strength. Hi, Rose. Did I say hi? Okay. So does that make sense? Okay. Is anyone lost or lacking clarity? Which is fine. No judgments. Okay. We will continue if not.
You don't get that. You won't know that till the end. I don't usually tell you that. I usually tell you, I shouldn't have said what I said. I usually tell you it'll never be okay, and that's okay. You look at me and say, really? I don't have to make it okay? You don't have to make it okay. It'll never be okay. Just be okay with the fact that it's not okay. Don't go out there and try and solve it. Don't go make big messes out of things. Let the mess stay inside. Let it spread out. Right? It's bad enough it's in there. Okay? Don't go hand it out. Let everybody share it. I'm really having a problem, and I just feel so lonely, and I don't feel loved, and I just really appreciate you sitting there listening to me, right? Okay, very good. You feel better? Right? And you say, it did help. I do feel better. Okay, I want to see you in 2 days whether your loneliness went away because you had that talk. Because the answer is not a chance.
How many can relate to that? You might even go to therapy and talk about it. And it's like, okay, maybe doing that once may help, but it's not a solution. You know, how many of y'all know Abraham Hicks? Or even Bashar? They're both like channelers. And they, to me, as a spiritual life coach, what I see them doing is coaching. And in coaching, it's like we give a little space for people to express and have their emotions, and also the benefit lies in moving into solution, challenging the mindset, moving into something different. Talking about our problems just and then sitting in it, it might give like a temporary relief, but then, like he just said, yeah, come back in 2 days. If nothing changed, nothing changed. And there you are.
It didn't solve anything. It just released some energy. You shared some energy out. When are you going to get ready for real solutions? Real solutions. Liberation, in the end, is the only solution to your problems. You all think of liberation as romantic. These masters went to these high states. Don't think of it that way. Think of what it is. You're caught in there. You're in big trouble. Because you have a problem that can't be solved the way you're trying to solve it. You know that. You just don't want to admit it. You've been in there. How long have you been in there? You still got problems from kindergarten. Even the psychiatrists agree with me. You got junk in there. You forget your current problems, right? When they're not bothering you, then the earlier ones do. When they're not bothering you, then the really big ones come up. You know what's really stored in there? You didn't store your problems. Your problem is that you're not okay, and you've never been okay. What you stored in there is your failures when you tried to satisfy your problem. That's what those experiences are that you stored in. They're not your problem. Your problem is that you were not okay, therefore you had these tremendous needs and attachments and clinging to people, places, and things. And when they did not behave or have circumstances that fit your needs, you got badly hurt, didn't you? You were trying to solve your core problem, and then that became a problem. That's what you're calling a problem. Your psychological problems are 3 layers out. It's your core problems, the core underlying problems that I'm not okay.
That's a really subtle point. Did y'all get that? Did anybody not get it? I've heard this talk a number of times, so that helps. Yep, Marielle, awesome. The core problem is we're not okay. So then we try and do things or not do things. And then in the trying, which fails, that creates more problems, which then is a layer on top of the not okayness, because we were trying to solve the not okayness, and that's why he said we're like 3 layers deep.
And so you eventually get to the point when you realize the only solution to your real problem, which is the only solution to your problem, is your freedom. Is you must find your being, your essence, which is okay. The moment you find the essence part of you that is okay, you will never again have to deal with the part of you that isn't okay. Can it be there? Sure, it can be there. Kleenex is there, glasses are there, pianos are there, parts of you that are not okay are there. So what? Who cares? You're okay. There is a place inside of you where you are okay. You have touched it at rare moments in your life, such as when the sun is setting, you turn the corner, and like your whole mind goes by, you just overcomes you. Such as rare moments when you're at the early stages of a love relationship. They call it the honeymoon stage, where you haven't found out that he doesn't put the toilet seat down and all the very important things that ruin it, okay? And before it got personal. It always becomes personal, doesn't it? And when it becomes personal, what happens? It becomes a problem. That which you thought was going to be a solution becomes devoured by the problem and just becomes part of the problem. Once it becomes personal, the honeymoon's over, because you're now using it to try to solve your problem. And I told you it doesn't work. But there are moments where it catches you by surprise. And you just fall in love. Something happens. And before you can figure out how to ruin it, there are moments where you sit in somebody's presence and it's like the sunset. You're just melted. You're just not there. It's like, whoa. That place of well-being, what do you want to call that? Maslow called it a peak experience. Remember Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? He had all these little hierarchy of needs, and he had ding, peak experience, right? Rare. He said some people only one in a lifetime, if any, right? You are always in there, always. That place of love, that place of peace, that place of complete harmony, complete utter contentment at all times is always inside of you, period. The only reason it only comes out at these peak moments, the beautiful sunset that overwhelms you, the love that catches you by surprise, the first time you hold your child, there's just these moments. Why? You have these peak experiences not because of the particular situation that's taking place outside. It is not because of the sunset. It is not because of the baby. It is not because of the marriage. It is because your mind gave you the grace of getting the heck out of the way during that moment. Rare as it is, it said, oh, okay, throw a dog a bone. Give her something, give him something, right? Well, shut up for a second, right? Because you'll notice during those peak experiences, there's no mind. Because while there's mind, you ain't having a peak experience. Because the mind steals the Shakti, and it pulls you down to its level. When the mind suspends, you can feel the natural energies rush up inside you from the core of your being. And that's what that deep love is, and that's what that great beauty of nature is. All right, that is always inside of you. Always.
Okay, so he's talking about peak experiences. Has anybody not had that happen? Or like a moment? He always talks about the sunset. Yes, Nancy. That's an important point that I'm glad you said. I was going to bring that in. The mind gets out of the way, right? And you're just present. There's just presence. The first time, you're with your new girlfriend or boyfriend and you want to say, like, you just keep thinking, I love them. I wish they would say I love you. I want to tell them I love you, but I'm scared. Maybe I don't know if they really feel it too. And then they say it. And then you're just in that moment, in that experience. The mind is quiet. or going on a trip, that you planned and saved for, and it took years and you always wanted to go there, and then, you get off the plane, smell the air, get to your hotel, go on the balcony, whatever. There's a super presence. I had that when I went to, well, quite a few times, but in Thailand, I'm remembering. So in that scenario, the mind is quiet, so you feel what's already here, because what he's saying is it's an illusion that we're not okay. It's the mind gets totally identified with the part that's not okay and gets consumed by it. But the reality is, we're not that part. We're the witness to it. So that higher witness, observer, higher aspect of self that can witness all of these things, it is okay. It's always okay. But we lose ourselves in the identification of mind. And that part, is full of the Shakti. But then when the mind comes in, there's so much energy. How many of y'all can relate to like getting physically exhausted by your thoughts? Maybe being an obsession or worry or hyper vigilant. And it's just, it's so much energy. Yeah. Ooh, Nancy, nice. Yeah. Marielle, Heather. Me too. So it makes sense that the mind steals that Shakti, the energy goes there, that bliss, and gets stuck in there. So there's a part that he's saying, there is a part that's always okay. It's an illusion. And that's what liberation is. And he might get to that, of the mechanics of how that works, of being the witness and the observer of the part of the energy. I do this work when I do the somatic work in my coaching and in the energy healing and in the ancestral clearing. We get lost in those energies that we stored from childhood and on and on and on, in lifetimes, if you want to bring that in. But the good news is there's a solution. We're here, we're hearing this. If you're hearing this, you're ready for it. And he says it's the only solution. So, yeah, let's hear more.
Now, when you reach the point in your growth where you realize just those two things we just talked about, that's all you have to realize. That's the deepest knowledge there is. One, that is always inside of you. And the only reason you're not feeling it all the time is because of your mind. And the second...
So he's saying there's two important points. That Shakti, that bliss, what you feel when you have a peak experience is always inside of you. Truth number one. So let's hear the second one.
Is that your mind's attempt to solve the problems of the heart don't work.
The mind's attempt to solve the problems of the heart don't work. Do y'all, who was here before and heard the beginning part of this talk? where he talked about that. And if you didn't, again, send me a message. I'll send you the link to what we're listening to, and or you can watch the replays of the other ones on YouTube on my channel. Remember, the heart is not okay, and the mind is trying to solve the problem that the heart is giving it, but it can't solve it.
So it's like, which do you want? The extreme of absolute perfection, beauty works all the time and there's nothing that can fail, or that which is guaranteed to fail? It's like we're running out there using the very mind that is causing the problem to try to solve the problem. It's not going to solve the problem. It's just going to make it worse. And that's all it does. You get neurotic. I don't know what to do now. I tried this and now it's not working and I can't even think of anything and now I'm really messed up. You just went the wrong way. You went out instead of in. The solution is inside, not outside. There is no solution outside. So you reach the...
Do y'all really get that? Do you believe it? That there's no solution outside, no matter what. Woo! Marielle, more than ready. Rose, 100. Yes, Blossom Violet. I said this recently. Rupert Spira, maybe y'all know him. He's a teacher, non-dual teacher. In his interview I heard last year, this stuck with me ever since. Because Rupert is liberated, or more liberated than many. And the interviewer asked him, like, what's different since you've been enlightened or whatever? And he said, what's different is I've stopped looking to the outside world to give me anything. And that really hit, because, I mean, here we are, we're hearing Michael Singer say it, like, it's universal truths. So can you imagine? So when he, whatever, became liberated, he said, I no longer look to the outside world to solve any of my problems. And so then the interviewer was like, well, what do you do? And he said, well, first I look within and I see, is it something like, something about being with his energy in here, which Singer talks about, and saying yes. So that's what it is. He said, if there's an internal response, I say yes to that energy. Michael Singer would say relax and release. And if there's something outside that's causing this, I say yes to that internally. So it was like this saying yes to the happenings, and or saying yes to in here, that shitty feeling energy, that resistance. That's great, Nancy. Yeah. So it's like, okay, you're hearing this, you're ready to hear it because you're hearing it however you're hearing it now or in a replay or whatever. So then it's like you're being gifted this wisdom, this truth with a capital T. So now is your choice and your responsibility What are you going to do with it? And I think he goes into this further on, and I think he's about to talk about it, but I'll just, spoiler alert. You have to want to change. You have to want this. You have to want freedom and liberation more than you want the baubles and the shiny things outside, or more than you want to be in hatred and victim and wishing people would change. You have to want inner freedom more. You have to want it as bad as you've ever wanted anything, really, because that's the level of commitment it takes to change this habit. And it's possible. It's not easy. It's very, very simple. It's not easy, and it's possible, and it's worth it.
Point when the only thing it's about is getting closer to, returning to, never leaving the deepest place you can find inside of you, and then going deeper every minute of every day. Makes sense, because we said that's the only way you're going to be okay. To be okay. You're not going to make it be okay. You can just be okay. Go to the place that's okay. Return to the source, which is okay. But there's this constant tendency, to touch it again. To think that this is different, that this matters, that I can't be okay if this is this way, and I can't be okay unless this is this way. And let me just take care of this first, and once I take care of it, then I'll worry about that kind of thing. That don't work. It has to have reached the point where it says, I see it's not going to work. I don't even want to try it anymore. It's not going to work. Doesn't mean you leave the world. You get that eventually. Doesn't mean you don't get married. Doesn't mean you don't have children. It means you don't do it for that reason. You don't do it for the reason of solving the problem with the part of you that's not okay. It may happen anyways. That's fine. So don't get scared. Leave it alone for a minute. You, being an intelligent being, just don't ever forget that what you're about to do to solve your problem is not going to work. It can't, because it's just the mind dreaming up what it thinks the world needs to be for the heart to be okay. Wrong. It's wrong every single time. So I'll do it this way. There is such a place where you reach that point, where no longer is your response and reaction to your problems or your desires to go out and change things so that you'll be okay. Because you know if it's not this, it'll be something else. Isn't it? It's just endless. It will never stop.
Who all here is clean and sober, or has, quit smoking, or, changed their diet and lifestyle, gotten fit, lost weight? Those that know me know I've been sober for 25 years, so I've done it. Jessica. And you don't have to disclose yourself. You can if you want, but the point is that the mechanics of that is what this requires as well, and even more. Marielle, congrats on your quitting smoking and your weight loss journey. So, when I quit drinking and drugging, and I was an alcoholic and a drug addict, so it had to become in my mind that it was no longer an option to pick up a drink. And in my first months of sobriety, I had to work with myself often to remind myself a drink is not going to fix anything, a drink is not going to make anything better. It's only guaranteed to make things worse. And so I had to retrain my mind. I used to do this like when I work with people in recovery, of like this visual of like all the alcohol and drugs on a table, and just anything on that table is not for me, and it's no longer an option. And these options, these things, they go off the table. So that, again, that level of commitment, of that intention, of that firm decision, and that burning desire, I wanted above everything else to be different and to be sober. It was the most important thing in my life. And so when the mind naturally went to, a drink, it's like I had to retrain it. No, it's no longer an option. So that level is what's required here as well. When the mind goes to, maybe this thing, maybe this. Remember, anything outside is never going to give me what I'm looking for. And great too, Blossom Violet.
And you decide, I want to live deeper. I do not want to be that little hamster that has to run around that little wheel. And what does it mean to live deeper? Then now you bring back, there is a place inside of me that's really beautiful where I am okay. Let me return to that. That's what I want to do. That's what you want to do on Sunday in the morning for church? No. That's what you want to do in the morning when you wake up and meditate? No. That's what I want to do with my life. This thing that you do about dreaming up your solutions and then going and doing them, that's what you do with your life, isn't it? You've done it with your whole life. Dreamt up what you think it needs to be for you to be okay, and then go out and try and make it happen. All right? What it is you try to stop from happening, what it is you try to make happen, that's your life. This has to be your life. Liberation is something you dabble with. It's not something you get into. It's not a hobby. It's not a belief structure. It is the replacement to that other thing. It's bigger than that. It's bigger than most people can get their minds around. It's like I told you, if a fish is in the water, it doesn't know it's in the water. It can see, seaweed and other fish, but it can't see water because it has no frame of reference that it's ever been out of the water. And until you have a frame of reference, you can't get your mind around it. Can you get your mind around what I'm talking about? That this whole thing your mind thinks about day in and day out all the time and has been doing it forever is what I'm talking about replacing. That's the part that doesn't work. That whole process of being human. There, I said it. I mean, that's a human being, right? That's what a human being does. They use the computer gift of their mind to try to solve the problems of their heart. And they come up with some weird stuff, don't they? It's unbelievable what goes on out there, isn't it? Fine. The question is, can anyone ever, anywheres, decide to replace that entire process of trying to solve your problem that way with a total another way, which is, I want to get behind the part of me that's not okay, not serve the part of me that's not okay. And I'm telling you, the only way out is when it's full time.
So that's what he was just saying. You don't do this just on Sundays. You don't practice this in your meditation and then get up and forget. Full time. Just like me with the drinking. I couldn't only be focused on staying sober part of the day, because if I would forget, then I would have picked up a drink. It has to be a constant top of mind commitment. He has a talk called The Commitment to Staying Conscious. He has a talk called Your Highest Intention, Self-Realization. These are two very powerful talks we'll listen to at some point. So that's why he says, the prerequisite for all of this is you got to want to do it, and you got to want to do it bad enough that you want freedom more than you want money, more than you want the job or the boyfriend or the new house or whatever. And he says too, you don't have to renounce anything. You don't have to move to India. But it's a moment by moment commitment. Yeah. I'm on my way there. And I'm not fully there yet. The thing is, just like this analogy about, quitting alcohol and drugs, or you can substitute smoking or food or sugar or whatever, you've got to have hit a bottom. You got to hit a bottom. Have you suffered enough? Who all here is suffering and is maybe it's your whole life is suffering. And it's not even about what's happening in your life. It's just about your awareness being to a certain level. And then that, when we get this gift of awareness, if we don't follow, we suffer. Hello, Heather. We have another Heather. Leslie. Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, I would venture to say any form of tension is suffering. So then I would look to what's causing the tension, and then that's where to go as far as accepting, relaxing, releasing, being present, because our true nature is bliss.
And I mean full time. I mean exactly the amount of time that you did the other way, you do this. All the time. There's never a moment you're not out there figuring it out, manipulating it, playing your little games, wondering whether to talk or not to talk, or what should you wear, or what should you say, or should you call him back earlier or later. There's not a moment it's not doing that. You got it? There's not a moment it's not doing this. That's what it means to be on a spiritual path. You've changed direction from outside to inside. And it's 24/7 by 365 from now for the rest of your life. And it will never be otherwise. Just like this is always that way. It's never otherwise, all right? Now, how can you make that transformation? How can you make that paradigm shift? That's a paradigm shift. One way is to sit yourself down and notice it happens to be the truth that it doesn't work. One way doesn't work, the other way is what works. When you are sitting there and your mind shuts up and you're experiencing that part of you that is just beautiful. Isn't that beautiful part? That love and that part that feels nature and deep meditation part that you go back and touch. It's really very beautiful, isn't it? That's there all the time. So your solution is to go there and stay there and drink off of that. You are drinking off the flow of the beauty that you are in your being, instead of struggling and whining and doing what you can to try and make this petty little stuff work that your mind came up with that doesn't work anyways. No one has ever failed. You know that? Everyone has these, oh, well, you failed. No one has ever failed. And no one has ever succeeded. Why? The ones who say they succeeded, the moment they reach that success, they're back wanting something else. They're still not okay. And the people who say they failed, they couldn't have possibly failed because what they were trying to do didn't work anyways. So just the whole thing you give up on. One way works, the other way doesn't. That's how you learn to do this. You be an intelligent, rational human being. You can take your mind with you. Truth happens to fit in the mind. The truth is, one way works, the other doesn't. All I ask you is to watch. Watch what you're going through. Here, I'll paint the picture one more time, then we're going to move on. You're thirsty. Very thirsty. You haven't drunk well for a long time. And I go visit you. And you're living in a very, very interesting place. It's fascinating. Where you stand, there's a lot of rocks. Lots of rocks. The whole area around you is like these flat rocks. And the sun is very, very hot there. And it is beating on those rocks. And it's very dry. And it's just rocks and sand. Rocks and sand. You are so thirsty. And I watch you, and you have all these blisters on your lips, and you've been out there sucking on rocks. What you do is you get up in the morning early before the sun goes, try to get any moisture you possibly can. And every once in a while, there'll be some moisture on the rock. You don't understand it, but there'll be some there, and you try to look, and it's like you are really having a major problem. And I'm sitting there, and I'm like aghast. Because you know where you are? You're on the beach of a natural lake. It's 3 feet behind you. But you're looking at the beach, where the rocks and the sand is. And this gorgeous, beautiful place. And that's once in a while, the wind blows and sprays a little water on your rocks. There's a little dew that goes on. 3 feet behind you is the lagoon, is the lake. That's what's going on. Exactly that. You have behind you anything and everything that you would ever want, need, dream of in any way, shape, or form. The most beautiful love, peace, harmony, fulfillment, contentment. No problems with drinking once you hit the lake. You have in front of you that which doesn't work. Every once in a while it seems to. A little spray gets on it or something. Okay, that's your moments I've been talking to you about. That is what's going on. Now you have to decide. You want to keep doing this? You want to keep sucking on rocks? Because while you're out there looking at those rocks and sucking on those rocks, it's drawing your attention in the wrong direction. You won't now look behind you. Why? You might miss some spray. So the yogi is the one, the true spiritual seeker, is the one who actually has caught on to this. Not based on some emotional thing, let's go have a satori, or, one experience, or do I have a vision, or, it's like they understand that that is there, that they are that. And they understand the emptiness of the dryness of trying to do out here what can't be done out here. All right? How long will it take before you understand that as well as you understand anything, and you will never forget it, and that's just how it is, and there's no more emotion left? That's not, oh, come on, just one more try. Go do all your tries, do whatever you want. Can you imagine that? Somebody sits there and says, just turn around. What do you mean turn? You see the lake. Oh my God. Then you come back and say, oh, let me just try once more to get it off the rock. What? Go for it. Knock yourself out, all right? I mean, it's like, wow. When will the time come where you are no longer saying, let me try once more? Even your fears are only fears because you frame them in relationship to your problem. You're afraid that your boyfriend might cheat on you. The very fact that you used the relationship with your boyfriend to try and hide from the part of you that was not okay. So while he was being nice to you and being loyal and everything was going nice, then it worked. What? Feeling that I didn't have to be as insecure and that he was going to help take care of me and that this was going to be the solution to my not okayness, right? That person out there was going to be the solution to your indwelling, that's always been there before you ever met him, problem of not so okay. Not a chance, but we won't discuss that. So now you say the problem is because he or she went out and did something else, your fear of that, right? Because you fear it will destroy you. So now fear got linked to desire. That's what your fears are. There are no fears if what you want is the leg. You don't have to be afraid that some spray will hit the rock. You have to be afraid someone will come and steal your rocks. You don't have to be afraid of anything. You understand that? There's plenty of water. So that when your entire goal becomes to fall back, that's why it's back, because the lake is behind you. If your entire goal is to fall back into that place inside of you, then not only do your desires fall off, your fears fall off. They go hand in hand. When will you reach the point that never again will you ever forget that that's what you want and that's who you are, and there are no compromises and there's no all but, or you're not even keeping a little toe in. Why would you keep a toe on those dry rocks when you're starting to walk into that lake? All it's going to do is keep you from going the whole way, isn't it? Now you're even in the lake. Whoa, what a difference. Like drinking the water, you're in the water, right? Can you imagine just submerging yourself? You don't do that. I can't do that. Why? Well, someone could take the rocks. Who cares about the rocks? You're not done yet. You're not willing to totally let go of the old way to experience the real way. You will reach a point where you realize it's futile, it's empty, it's transient, it's not going to do it. The other is whole and complete, and it's real. You must devote yourself, the whole of yourself, to going into the lake completely and ultimately going under, because that's when the real magic happens. It's not even the real magic, as unbelievable as it seems, that you walk from the barren, hot, dry rocks and sand, backing up into this lake where it overwhelms you. It's cool and beautiful. That's when you feel the love. That's when you feel the peace. That's wonderful. I'm glad you're okay. That's the beginning, not the end of your journey inside. That was like you just touched the shores of the inside. Go under. Go under. And something happens. When you stop even staying conscious enough to stay focused on the old way, that part of your being goes away. The personal disappears. It's not that you get behind it. I told you, I don't like to tell you it'll go away, because then you think it's supposed to. It's fine with me if you think it's supposed to stay there. It's fine. Just don't be attached to it. Just walk away from it. But it will go away. When you fall back far enough, for long enough, into that lagoon, into that, and are willing to go under, there is no longer a need for the personal. The personal got created as a solution to the problem of the soul that it's lost. When the soul is willing to release that, now the real stuff starts to happen. You start to understand who you are. In other words, the first step is I'm okay. The second is who am I? Who is this that is now okay? And that's realization. Those are your path back. Those are your stages as you walk your way back inside. You are not going to get inside while you keep your eye outside. But that doesn't mean you renounce the world. The world will continue to go about its business, and it will include you. Don't worry. There will be friends, and there will be this, and there may be marriage, and there may be children. There may be finance, there may be no finance. There'll be everything. Everything everybody else has will still happen to you. But it will happen around you, at you. It won't really happen to you. You just be aware of it. You're going in. That's what you're doing. Others are trying to make it happen. You're not trying to make it happen, or trying to make it not happen. You're not. you're going in. And then you realize not only are you not trying to make it happen or not happen, when your whole being is toward going in, you will realize that you use what's going on to help get rid of yourself. That's what it means to die to be reborn. You literally, every day of your life, let go of parts of you that were left. You surrender them through. Why? Because all you want is liberation. It's not a game. Spirituality is not a game. It's serious stuff. It's like dying to be reborn. That's some serious stuff. That's not romantic talk, right? Dying to be reborn. The willingness to release the personal aspect of your being, because that's what's keeping you looking out and stopping you from falling in. And since all you want is in anyways, and since the out doesn't work, I think God, when God set this up, he didn't think it was going to be this complicated. It's like we set up a game. And he made it like, oh, let's make it so they always win. Hide and seek with little kids. So, it's like, you don't really, hide on the other side of the moon or something and see if they can build a rocket ship and go find you. Not if you're playing with a 3-year-old. That's not reasonable. You kind of hide in the other room, in a chair or something, all right? It's supposed to be easy. It's supposed to, gotcha, found you. It's supposed to be fun. So God figures he's setting up this thing. He'll go get lost. I'm going to put this whole lake with all the water in the whole place right behind him. And in front of him, I don't want it to be even close. I'm going to put dry, parched sand and hot rocks. And even to walk on them is burning, right? And I'll have a breeze come in from behind every once in a while. Hello, you, right? Like they wouldn't have any trouble finding it. Wow, is he in for a surprise? How did that happen? It's true what I just said. That's the difference. That's what's set up. You do suffer every moment of your life. And if you ever touch that place back there, all suffering ends instantaneously on that moment you touch it. It only comes back as you go back to the burning sands. And you sit there like, wow, how did that happen? And now you look at it, if you really look at it that way, and it is that way, by the way, then every once in a while he says, I can't believe they can't find it. I put it right behind them. It's just right there. And it's so beautiful, and the other is so ugly. There's so much pain and suffering, and every time they go out and try to do it the other way, get zapped, like Skinner, conditioned response, right? You get zapped, don't you? Right? It's hilarious. But no one gets this. Then they say, okay, all right, I guess it's time I better go down and remind them, because, man, they are really dumb. This is just unbelievable. So he drops down as Buddha, or drops down as Christ, or drops down as somebody, right? So we'll drop down here, we'll walk around and say, hello, it's inside. It's inside. Everybody's out there trying to get the water, this kind of stuff. And he said, all right, man. And finally I said, well, where are you going? He goes, starts to walk back in the lake. He says, where I go, you can't follow. And then he goes and he gets in it, and he actually goes under, like I was telling you. He goes under and he merges. His personal thesis. And he says, may they know the oneness in me as I've known the one. He's just like, come on, it's right here. It's right behind you. Just stop putzing around out there. How? The main ingredient, the essential aspect of your liberation is you have to want to be liberated. You can take all the techniques you want. It ain't gonna be squat. As long as you still think that it's out there, they're not gonna do nothing for you. There'll just be something you do in the morning or make you feel good. You have to have caught on. It don't work. And the other does. I ain't stupid. Right? That's why I ain't stupid. That's why I tell you, there's no renunciation. You're not giving anything up. I'll tell you what. The only way you can go into the lake is if you renounce licking the red hot rocks. You have to renounce them. That's not renunciation. It's just like wake up, hello, it doesn't work. And so the lake works, this doesn't. Got it? The self works, the inner being, the essence, the beauty, Satchitanand inside works. This whole personal stuff doesn't. You will be challenged on a daily basis whether you want to keep putzing with the personal stuff or whether you want to release the personal stuff. You will be challenged on a daily basis. Situations will unfold, and you will feel your not okayness take place. And you will notice the process I just discussed coming up in your mind and coming up with this whole thing about what you need to be doing to fix your problem inside. And you'll go out and do it again and again. Or you will look at it and say, there will be no more again. I will not waste one situation that unfolds in my life that reminds me that this is what's going on without letting go of at least a chunk of that pull to try to do it that way. How? You don't do it that way. When everything in your being wants to do it that way, you don't do it that way. You let go. You sit there, you look at it. You say, it doesn't work. I'm going to start walking backwards where I've never been before, toward where I think the lake is. And when, yet again, I see a sparkle on the rock, and I think it could be wet, and I'm not going to run back. Because you know what happens when you run back. You don't go out. It's that simple. You can't be doing both. You ain't doing both. You ain't keep running back to those rocks to try and get it that way, because then you're not walking back. You just keep walking back. It's that simple. Just keep walking back. The Guru's just there telling you, keep walking. No, don't tell him. That's all he would tell you. Keep walking back. Yeah, but just keep walking back. Don't think, don't analyze. Just keep walking back, and your feet will hit that water. And you go, whoa, whoa. I'm telling you, even once your feet start to feel the wet, you'll still feel the urges to walk back. You have to completely and utterly let go. Period. And what will be taken from you is the ignorance that is binding you to this ignorant way of doing things. Why would you not let your ignorance go? There's nothing to be afraid of. Nothing. Nothing. Nothing can happen in this world that can touch the self. It is the solution to any problem you ever had. So what is there to be afraid of? People can die, people can be born, finances can change, things can change, all kinds of things can happen. It doesn't matter. Since they are not your solution, they are not your problem. That's the key. So you just keep going back. It's that simple. When you are committed to that, you will grow very, very quickly. And you don't have to wait till you're actually in the water. The closer you get, the more you feel its coolness and its breeze is feeding you, till you get that Shakti flowing inside of you all the time, never stops. You just feel the strength and the flow inside. And it beckons you, it calls you. Just like that lake would call you, even if you couldn't see it. You just feel it behind you, don't you? Go there. Master said, go there and drown yourself in it. Gyrative.
Wow. Even though I've heard this many times, it still is so powerful. That's what truth does. Was this helpful? What did y'all learn from this talk? At the end, he says, like I said, the essential ingredient you have to want to more than you want anything in the outside world. And I love the analogy of the lake and the rocks and God playing hide and seek. He's hilarious. It's all within us. Hi, Allison. You're welcome. Me too. Well, we'll be doing this often. We've just finished that talk. If you want the link to that talk, send me a private message. The replays will be uploaded to my YouTube. You can ask me for that. And they're titled, so you know. And I actually have playlists for the different topics of my live streams there, so you can go to that, or I can send you if you want the specific one. It takes me about 48 hours, usually 24 or less, to put them up. It's a reminder of the truth. Everything we need is within us. Who else feels more peaceful now? I do. Who else feels like my heart has opened, has relaxed, is feeling into that possibility of the truth? If we can feel that peace and presence inside of us, that's touching the Shakti, as he calls it, our true self and our true nature. It's always there. And why do we want anything outside of us? Because we want it, or we don't want it, because we want to feel good. But yet, that comes from within. We only want things because of the way they make us feel. Or we want to get rid of things because we want to change the way we feel. He gives an example in The Untethered Soul of a breakup. You know, the girlfriend dumps the guy out of the blue, and he was totally in love, and he's devastated, and he can't eat. He can't leave his house for weeks. Has anybody else besides me been in that? And then he gives the example of one day the ex calls. I made a mistake. I was wrong. I want to get back with you. I'm coming over right now. And immediately the person, the guy that was broken up with, who had no energy, couldn't get out of bed, couldn't eat, the house is a mess, nothing, was so depressed, suddenly, because of that phone call, is full of energy, full of excitement, cleans up the house, is so happy. That came from, both of those came from inside. So it shows the example, it's all in here already. That bliss state was already in there, but, he was looking to the outside to solve his problems, and it wasn't working, so he was feeling like shit until the problem was solved with the girlfriend wanting him back. But then guess what? If you follow that story further, you can imagine, there might be a honeymoon phase for a bit, but then the reasons why they broke up come back, and then maybe he can't trust her anymore, and then she dumps him again, So, stay tuned for more. And like I said, in like 10 hours or in 9 hours, I'll be doing Reiki here. So join in for that, for Deep Dive Reiki. And follow me, give a donation, follow me everywhere. If you feel called to set up a one-on-one session with me, you can see my offerings. Click the link in my profile here. I'm a spiritual life coach. I support people in getting unstuck. And it might even be getting unstuck from all of this stuff we're talking about. Or the symptoms of feeling stuck in a job, in a relationship, in a country, in a home, in a mindset. So if you are ready, send me a message. And I will see you all very, very soon. Much love.